Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So in this video we're going to be covering quite a few things. There is the sort of possibility that the 2014 Carabao Cup final or Carabao Cup is going to be handed to Sunderland, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. It's just a bit of banter that's been going around the internet. But I mean, it could. There's a slim chance, but it could actually happen. So we are going to touch on that. Also, we're going to do the Fulham match preview as well. But before we do get into anything at all, there is something that I do want to touch upon, and if any of you guys are sort of following SAFC related things across the internet over the last couple of days, particularly yesterday in general, we did lose someone who was massively valued, particularly by myself and a lot of other people who do regularly use social media. Chris Collier, also known as Sunderland on Instagram and I believe on Twitter as well. He sadly passed away unexpectedly, and you know, I'm not going to sit here and be one of those that claims to have been his best friend or incredibly close with him, because I wasn't, but I did have the honour and the privilege of meeting the man a couple of years back. You know, we've been in touch with each other for quite a few years now, just over, you know, social media, and have a lot of banter here and there. I know he served in the army. He was fit as a fiddle as well, as far as I'm aware, and he's sadly lost his life, and it just shows how cruel life is. But I just thought I'd mention him because I think he deserves it, particularly being such a heavy part of the Sunderland community. He's done some great sort of camera work with photos and photography over the years, and he's done bits and pieces of some voiceover commentary over Sunderland games, which were always excellent quality and hilarious at times, you know, as well as just his general social media presence and his knowledge of the game. I absolutely valued him 100%, and it's an absolute travesty that we've lost him. You know, I've met him and one of his sons. I know he does have children. I met one of his sons a few years back, and my heart just goes out to the friends and family. It really, really does. So I thought I'd just put that out there. Rest in peace, Chris. Yeah, absolutely tragic loss. Absolutely tragic. But moving on into the video. So Manchester City have been faced with a load of potential punishments. I will go through the punishments, but essentially, I haven't actually read too much into it, so I know some people, Man City fans, might come across this and just see me that I'm spouting utter bollocks, which is an absolute possibility. But I believe that they have been under investigation, or an investigation has been ongoing behind the scenes for several years now, which has found Manchester City basically breaking the rules of financial fair play, which it's going to happen to most clubs in it over the next few years, I think. But Man City, it's just law after law after rule after rule after rule. It's been breaking over the last several years, including the year in which they won the Carabao Cup in the final, of course, against Sunderland. Now, one of the potential punishments is rescinding of trophies, be it Premier Leagues, Carabao Cups, FA Cups, everything that they've won. Certain things throughout the time in which they have been prosecuted or the claims to have broken rules, there is a chance that those trophies could be rescinded, i.e. they could be changed over and given to the team that they obviously beat. So there is a chance in there that we could be given a Carabao Cup trophy, albeit a tiny one. But imagine that, we get given a Carabao Cup trophy or accredited with a Carabao Cup final win not long before Newcastle go and play theirs. I don't know, I just feel that, I think that could be just relatively poetic and quite funny. And I just realised that my washing machine is going apeshit in there, and that's why my volume is getting louder and louder, because this is incredibly unprofessional. But yeah, can you imagine? That would be absolutely mental. But here are the punishments anyway that Manchester City could potentially be facing. He could potentially be suspended from playing league matches, a points deduction. They could be recommended to the board that league matches must be replayed. I mean, how could that happen? I'm not too sure how they could do like several seasons worth of matches, but these are just things that can be imposed on them. Order compensation, which they'll have a shit ton of money to pay anyway. That's fine. Cancel or refuse registration of players. A conditional punishment. They could be ordered to pay costs, which is, again, they have a bottomless pit apparently, don't they? And they can make any such order as they see fit, essentially. So shit could just be made up on the spot that they believe that would be fair to give him. But yeah, so it's a very interesting time. I do feel sorry for some Man City fans. I know a lot of people just say they're in a little club, that only fans started, you know, turning up when they started getting all this money. I know of a couple of close mates actually that support Man City from before the takeover all those years ago, and the die-hard Manchester City fans. So I don't think it's that's too fair. Granted, there are a lot of fans across the world entirely now that have jumped on the bandwagon now that they have become as big as they have done. But there you go. I mean, that'd be mental if we get given a Carabao Cup. Jesus Christ. But anyway, what do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments down below. But now into the Fulham preview. I know over the weekend, of course, there wasn't a review to the game on this channel anyway, against Millwall, a game in which I think we played pretty poorly, if I'm completely honest with you. Pretty poorly. We didn't get into the game. They out-muscled us, they out-strengthened us. They had more tenacity and aggression, which you expect from Millwall. And we just weren't at it. We couldn't string passes together. I think we had a couple of counter-attacks in the opening sort of 20 minutes or so, but then we just kind of just bent over for the majority. When they got their first goal, when they broke the deadlock, which was completely expected and they earned it, I feel like then they started to sit back a little bit and allow us a bit of space and time to break forward. But other than that, their press was great. We couldn't deal with it, and we were just really soft, and we just weren't at it at all. So I was pretty grateful that we did get away with the point, given that we weren't at the races, and for a good 85-90% of the game, we were shit. I won't lie, we were shit. And I think a lot of people have turned it into, it's character, it's this, we're a really battling performance. I think if we lost that game, a lot of people would be under the impression that they still give the same sort of conclusion that I've given. We weren't good enough for a lot of that game. End of story, that was it. But we love to see another day. We got the point. I'm happy with the point, but let's call a spade a spade. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a great performance. Of course, now we're struggling. We don't have any striker at all to play in this game against Fulham, but for me, we'll have a look at my preferred starting 11. Of course, I'll run through what I would do, and I'll give you my reasons behind choosing these players. So I'll put them up on screen for you now. So we have Patterson in goal. We have the unchanged back four. Sirkin did come in against, or come on, should I say, against Millwall. Although he did score the goal, he got the equaliser. Bravely went in and he got a clattering off the goalkeeper, which of course he was concussed very briefly, I do believe, and due to the concussion protocols, he won't be able to play, I do believe. But also, Alessi, he was absolutely exhausted after about the hour mark in this one. I know he's been overrun, I think maybe it's a little bit, and he was doing a lot of chasing the game, as it were a lot of the players, but he was absolutely shattered, and it had to come off, obviously. And then Sirkin, he had to come off, and then the new lad, we brought him on to give him his debut as well. So we had three left-backs playing on Saturday, all in all. But there we go, we have Ballard, Bart and Hume. For me, Trey Hume, I just need to say, he's been absolutely class. And Ballard and Bart, that goes without saying. But Trey Hume, I don't see how Gooch gets back into this side as a right-back anyway, because he's been absolutely sensational. Going forward, his link-up play with Roberts and Ahmad at times, early on in the game anyway against Millwall was absolutely outstanding. Of course, as I say, after only sort of 20 minutes, I feel like we were terrible. But either way, he's been absolutely excellent. His defensive work improves by the day. He's getting forward really well, linking up and starting attacks with him. He's been absolutely fantastic. But in the middle, we have Daniel and Mishu. And behind in Amad Diallo as a striker, we have Clark, Pritchard and Roberts. Now, you might think that's a bit daft to put Pritchard in. He's just come back from injury. And it's not just because he got the assist as well with a fantastic free kick. I think that even if we just give him half an hour, the first half, and then maybe bring in Abdullah Bar, and then, or maybe in Burnett to stick him up top, and then bring Diallo back a little bit. Even with this formation, Diallo can sit back a little bit and play as the sort of number 10 role and sit back with Pritchard, and then as a 4 with Clark and Roberts as well, they can kind of attack and chop and change, swap positions, and that's what you can generally do when you've got a team full of midfielders again, which is what we find ourselves dealing with. But with Pritchard, what I do love about Pritchard, and I was complaining on social media that sometimes when we do struggle to break a team down, we are absolutely guilty of trying to pass the ball into the back of the net. We tried to walk the ball into the back of the net so many times. I was getting so frustrated. It was one of those days where, there were times where, say, for example, Roberts, Roberts had a cracking game for me against Millwall, by the way. He took the piss out of them at times. But there were just so many times where someone like a Roberts or Diallo or Clark, we'd end up in a half-decent position, and it'd be like 3-on-1 or 3-on-2 in our favour, and we just don't release the ball, or we'll just start doing frigging triangles in the corner when there's a much better option on, or refusing to cross it when we've got bodies in the box. And it was happening time and time again. It almost looked as if we didn't want to score, or we were terrified to go for it, and that was really, really frustrating. But I'm hoping that, yes, I get it, we don't have the big target man. I'm hoping that some of these lads, they just have the bottle to just go for it from goal, because there were times where we were 20, 25 yards out. Well, we should have pulled the trigger, but we wouldn't. We'd start moving out wide, doing pretty little triangles, and it looks all well and good, but there's no progression. There's no attacking progression at all. So I think Mowbray needs to say, yeah, it's all well and good getting into the final third. We're perfectly good at doing that, but he's doing something when we're there because we look just absolutely toothless, which you can't always blame on no striker because they were working it into the areas in which a striker would absolutely go for goal. These lads, they know where the goal is. Just shoot. I'd rather them shoot and hit it, into Rose Ed than not shoot at all, and give us a chance. So this is the team I would probably go with. Maybe half time, bring off Pritchard and bring on Abdullah Bar. Possibly anyway. I think that's probably the best I'm going to come up with. What about you guys? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, in terms of a score prediction, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Fulham, they used a relatively, almost an identical side last time out when they played Chelsea and they drew 0-0. And they did really well there. So it just makes you realise how well we did at their place. Now, coming back to the stage of my life, yes, it would have been a lot better to have Ross Stewart available because it gives us the outlet of someone to stick to, when you're pinging the ball up top, when you're trying to get away, back to goal, holding up the play and allowing midfielders to get in and around him and bring us up the pitch. We don't really have that, so we need to really keep it on the floor and work it. I think we're going to be really, really struggling in terms of their press because they press us really well. But the one thing with Fulham is they leave gaps all over the shot when they commit forward. Going forward, they do look very, very dangerous, but they leave themselves so open at the back. And time again, when we played last time out, granted we had Ross Stewart then, but we didn't even need to use Stewart at times, and we did go on the break because we have the pace, we do have the quality, but we could have been, way ahead against Fulham, but before they equalised in the first game with them. But in terms of a prediction, I am going to go for a 2-0 Fulham win. I can just see it. I think if they do get the first goal, I think we'll very, very much struggle. And I can't see Fulham sitting back after getting one. They will go again. And I think we will prove just have a little bit too much for us at the stage of my life. Sadly, I was going to go to the game with it being originally on the Tuesday, then I get changed to TV, and I'm working on Wednesday. So how friggin' annoying. But there we go, guys. That is my predictions and my lineup. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about everything I've mentioned in this video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button for me and subscribe if you are new. Take care. Stay jammy.